This episode of the Cinema Psycho Show is sponsored by Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code CINEMA20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CINEMA20 at manscaped.com.
Many times a filmmaker needs a really good producer that can partner with you, that can then articulate your message for you and help sell that on your behalf. So if you're not that person, recognize it and partner with someone who is. And then all you have to do as the creative, that's the case, is just be that passionate individual.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Kindage, and my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
You know, I will say this. I'll give an oath to you, Brian. This podcast is in my blood.
It's in your blood?
Yeah, it's a blood
oath.
oath.
It's an oath? It's a blood oath?
Yeah. Speaking
interesting words.
I think we have some guests here.
We do have some guests. We're still at the Eerie Horror Fest, and we are joined today by Aaron, Brandon, Ashleigh of Blood Oath Films. Great to have you all here.
Most clever intro yet. Look at that.
Most clever intro.
Wordplay intro.
Yeah, we've been doing this podcast since 2016. Eventually, you start to pick up on how to do transitions and shit. But
I was gonna say, I start these things off usually in a way that people either love or hate. But considering that I'm not asking you like I was, say, Nancy Loomis, like, tell us about yourself, like, and they don't know where to start. I guess it's could you tell us about yourself? What is Blood Oath for those who are not initiated?
Okay, yeah, so Blood Oath is, we're kind of an amalgamation of different production entities in the film industry, right? So we each have kind of our specialties, and it was founded off of a desire to help filmmakers who don't know where to go to get movies made and get sold and find distribution, because it's just kind of scary out there at times. And the idea was, can we make scary movies less scary to make, is our weird tagline, right?
I love that
tagline.
Yeah.
But it really did start from just a love of the genre and a desire to try and help folks. When I know when I was first starting out, I'm like, I don't know who to go to. I don't know who to ask. I don't know who to trust. You get to hear all these horror stories and you get scared. So we were like, can we form a group that is there to help people? And it really started out of, if we run into someone, they have a good film, and it's like, oh God, I wish you had talked to us. If I could have just spoken to you sooner, or if you had just run it by us first, we could have told you not to do that deal, or we could have helped you make this instead. So that kind of is where the genesis was, and then each of us have kind of expertise that we lend in that process wherever you are in the filmmaking process.
How much does it help to have like a finished script or some proof of concept? Like, let's say somebody did like a trailer or a 5-minute short and said, I want to make this 90 minutes, as compared to like just coming in and stream of consciousness idea, so to speak.
I think you definitely, at least to approach Blood Oath, you definitely want to have a script that's finished. And I think that proof of concepts are always very, very helpful. Just even a 2-minute, teaser. It's always great just to see what the director's vision is and what their eye is and just kind of the vibe of the project. It really just helps anyone, not just us, anyone you're talking to in the industry, just understand what your project can be. And so definitely have it, coming to Blood Oath with a script for sure. And if you have a teaser, that's great. And if you're further along in the process, like Aaron was saying, if you have a finished film, we can also help with sales, distribution, festival strategy. We can kind of come in at any point to help guide you into your next milestone.
Yeah, and I'll just add on that along with that, there are times where we're approached by filmmakers that actually already shot the movie too, and they'll submit that as well, and so we're able to look at what they've done, and maybe it's something where we look at it and see if it would work for distribution through our whether it's myself directly or through our network of other distributors, or sometimes we could look at it and say it's almost like a calling card, where it's like there's something here to work with, maybe for the next one that they're gonna show us. Maybe it's a script they're gonna submit. We kind of know what their vision is, and we're gonna help them make the next one, right?
Hey Brandon, when you say through yourself, what do you mean?
Great question. So I'm over at Cineverse and Screenbox, doing acquisitions for them. I've been in the acquisitions and distribution space for 13 years now, I think. So. And I've been over at Cineverse for about 3 now, as of this month. Essentially, for me, it's really, because of Screenbox specifically, it's all horror, but we were an SVOD service, and therefore streaming, and so looking at a variety of projects, whether it's feature or even series, which we're doing a series together with Blood Oath actually right now. But anyways, that's
Fantastic.
Yeah, and we have other, like Logan Taylor also works in distribution with Umbrella Entertainment in Australia. They may talk to me as well, and so there's just we have a range of folks that we can help. So the idea is wherever you're at, but if there is a good proof of concept and we're blown away by it, then yeah, there's a world where we could help develop a script. Like Paper Street Pictures, which is the main company that kind of like spun this off in a way, through Ashleigh and I, and that's the production arm. So we'll develop scripts, but I think you just want to have, everybody only gets so many shots. You get a bite at the apple, right? You only get so many bites at the apple is the phrase. So take your biggest bite, right? With like the best shot you can. What's the package you can put together? What materials? I know this actor. I have a little bit of cash. I have this location. Whatever those pieces are can make everything more appealing and more viable for you, to kind of cut through the chaff.
That's awesome. So I guess one of my questions is, and you probably see this a lot, are a lot of filmmakers that maybe get their start doing shorts, music videos, things that aren't features. And whenever I've talked to, producers and other filmmakers and even distribution, a lot of times like, listen, the short ain't going to cut it. That really the market is kind of in the feature, So for those filmmakers that are trying to jump from shorts to feature, what are some things that you see that can help make that transition easier from filmmakers you've worked with?
I mean, look, I think, right now, I will say there is a very viable pathway of making a good short that people want to hire you to make a feature. We just did that. We had a movie called The Artifice Girl. It's a little sci-fi film. Right. And this individual had just made a couple shorts. We loved the shorts, and the script was fantastic. Yeah. And Blood Oath got behind that, and it played at South by Southwest, played at Fantasia. It won awards all over the world. Was the #1 sci-fi film on iTunes for a hot minute. So that kind of blew up, and that filmmaker now has some really wonderful things, Franklin Rich, going for them, and. That was based off a short and a script. Awesome. And there's a lot of those. I think those do happen. It just has to be, the short has to be really, really good. Right. You know what I mean? And I think if you don't know what a really good short is, go to things like Amaletto, go to different websites, watch these shorts that have millions of views, the horror shorts, and be like, am I in this category? And just be honest with yourself, If it is, and you're getting invites to some really good festivals, and look, you don't have to have the great festival invite, right? But that's going to help. But if that's there and you can say, I really believe that this is of that caliber, then that short and a good script absolutely can get you there, in my opinion.
I'll just add on too, from the distribution standpoint. We do look at some shorts. I think it depends on the company, though. There's a lot of them that wouldn't bother, frankly. Right. But as far as the features go, what's tricky about this is because there are so many movies made feature length made every year. I do think it's really important to try to get that festival track going. It's either that or you're represented. Right. To be honest, to really get the general distributors to be looking at your film, and even if it's not like Sundance or something, there are plenty of other festivals that have our attention from the distribution standpoint, especially in the genre space, which myself and several others are certainly looking at. Even the maybe second tier, third tier festivals, just because there are films that come through that are not necessarily acquired yet, but are still really worth our time. Right. So,
now, how much is it important to be a salesman when it comes to a pitch? Because you could theoretically have the best idea in the world, but if you don't know how to present it, how much showmanship goes into presenting something?
So I like to say all the time that you are, in every avenue in life, you're selling always. Mm-hmm. Right now, I'm selling you on something, you're selling me on something. Like, no matter what, we're always selling. So I do think, I actually took sales classes and things. I think that's important. I read books like Freakonomics and stuff like that to understand motivational techniques and all this. I watch the master classes there's a really good master class right now on the art of negotiation. I watch all those things all the time, and I think that's a part of it. But I will say, there are not a lot of people who can do the creative and then can also be the business side and do that. And that's okay. you can have, I mean, I'll say this with love to like Franklin Rich, right? Who's needs a producer to help represent him at times, who's our director for the Artifice Scroll. He's great in Q&As and what's there, but like you want many times a filmmaker needs a really good producer that can partner with you, that can then articulate your message for you and help sell that on your behalf. So if you're not that person, recognize it and partner with someone who is, who then can help translate your message, your passion. And then all you have to do as the creative, that's the case, is just be that passionate individual. Just be that person that's like, I live and breathe this thing, and you feel that. And I think you're gonna have to sell that passion, but if you can't sell the rest, partner with someone who can.
It's just like with any sort of, job on a film set. Like, you obviously you might have someone who's really good as the director, but maybe not the best, but passable as the cinematographer. So you hire someone who does that, right? It's the same thing. Hey fellas, quick heads up from the grooming front lines. Shaving your jewels doesn't have to be risky business anymore. Thanks to our friends over at Manscaped and their Lawnmower 5.0, I got one right here, you can forget about nicking your bits. This trimmer is all about keeping things smooth and safe, so you can trim with confidence. Head over to manscaped.com and snag 20% off plus free shipping with the code CINEMA20. With Manscaped, it's easy grooming and no surprises. John, we've known each other for a long time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever sliced your balls?
Oh, all the time. I've got very sensitive nads. Let me just
sensitive nads.
I try not to go down there too much because my balls end up looking like everybody who wasn't Harrison Ford in Witness. Just Amish nuts all the time.
I mean, for me, I've had problems where I literally have sliced down there and it looks like a horror show. And I don't want people's balls to look like a Cinebites plaything. So we know that dudes get a little heebie-jeebies when it comes to going down there. And if you want to get a close shave, honestly, this guy right here, the Lawnmower 5.0, can do it for you. This 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top. All right, John's got one right there. And a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. I use this one right here because I want to go smooth. With dual LED spotlights, you'll achieve better visibility, making every trim more precise and hassle-free.
You could even shave your balls in complete darkness now if you really wanted to, thanks to the LED light. Although I really don't recommend it, but you could.
He's right. Worried you'll make a mess? This bad boy is also waterproof. You can shave in the shower, in the bath, or in the ocean. I don't know why you would shave in the ocean, but guess what? You can. I love this thing because it does come in a compact case, making it really great for travel. Trust me, this trimmer will be your crown jewel's best buddy.
Brian, let me ask you something.
Sure.
Listeners to our podcast, or even viewers now, can they get some kind of special deal?
Oh, they can. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code CINEMA20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code CINEMA20 at manscaped.com. Show your balls some love and feel free as a dove.
Well, and yeah, filmmaking is the collaborative, space. Like it is all about collaboration. It's all about teamwork. So I think what Aaron said, recognizing what you're good at, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and then filling those gaps, surround yourself with people who can help you in all facets of your film. I mean, that's what you do through the entire process is, find other people that can help you.
Well, to kind of piggyback off of that question too, how important is it to try to show that this is theoretically profitable? We all have a dream and want to make but if you come in and say, yeah, I mean, this is probably going to lose like $100,000, but it's my dream, it's like, get out of here. So how important is it to say I really think that this can be profitable?
I'll just say, from my perspective, it actually drives me kind of crazy when people try to say that their film is going to do, the business of, I don't know, whatever it may be, It Follows or what have you, right? They seem to use the same movies in all these pitches. It honestly drives me nuts because, they don't usually understand how that works, or they're not really in the business. So when I see that, I go, okay, you don't know what you're saying. It's better just to leave that out for
okay.
me.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how everyone else feels, but that's just kind of it just doesn't work. And so I would rather them focus on, crafting something that excites me off the page, and I go, okay, I can see this being, profitable and working for it. They don't have to sell me on that part. because it's going to come from my perspective anyway.
Yeah, it used to be like for the longest time it was Paranormal Activity.
Yeah.
Now it's It
Blair
Follows, Blair Witch, these same movies that always pop up. And when you know those filmmakers and you know actually what it went through, it's like that's not the process of what's there. Now it's going to be Skinamarink. It's going to be these things, and it's just like
The elevated horror.
Sure, yeah. Don't even get me started on what elevated horror means, right? Like, just ridiculous. You don't have elevated drama. You don't have elevated comedy. Horror doesn't need to be elevated, right? Horror is great as is, and that's just a bias that comes from folks who want to look down on horror. And sorry, that's going to get me going, right? I bugs me every time. Yeah, I was just...
If we were doing a whole hour-long thing, man, I
call
would
me
say,
back.
please,
Let's do it. I'll rant all the time. Don't worry. No problem.
Dead serious. Dead serious.
But returning to that, I do
go
think
ahead.
the one thing you can do, if you want to compare your film to other films, just as like tonally or just kind of like my film is like this, that's fine. But yeah, it's don't say your film is going to be like Blair Witch because it's going to make $1 billion. Just say my film is like these sort of 4 films mashed together. That's helpful to give us like a reference of where you're going with it.
It's kind
Very
of hard
helpful.
in like a postmodern world where you can't say like, yeah, what I want is I want like a Tarantino meets Argento, or whatever. I don't know what that would be, but
I'm intrigued.
but
I'm intrigued.
Let's see it. Let's
What
see
is
it.
that? Yeah.
But I guess for me, like I look at it as just like you say, I think to illustrate what the visual feeling of that movie is, yes, compare it. But to say like, oh yes, it's going to make $1 bajillion just like Skinamarink and all this other stuff. It's like, you don't know that because there's just too much competition out there nowadays between what's in the theaters, what's on streaming, and just competition for eyeballs between your devices and everything else like that. So you don't know.
Well, and I think, and this is where, look, and I say this as I'm a writer, director, and a producer, right? And I have to put on different hats at different times. But when you're making a movie, it needs to be 50-50. And there's a 50% is creative, and the other 50% is fiduciary, right? So you have to make your money back. And we take a lot of pride on Paper Street Pictures that like we don't lose money on our movies, and we're very good at managing to a budget and delivering on time and knowing these are the parameters. You got to work within them. There are movies where we've turned down money that's been invested because I said that's going to dilute, and I only think we can make this much money back, so I'm not going to take more money because I have to get that money back to those investors. And a lot of times people are like, how have you made, Paper Street, we've done like almost 15 features at this point, give or take, 12 to 15. And it's, how is that possible? Well, get the money back to people, that they're going to come back. They're going to show up again, right? That's a big part of it. And then work with partners that you're on time. You're not calling them like, our house is on fire. We need another $300,000. We don't know what to do. And that happens, unfortunately, Brandon can tell you, very often. And so if you can be that reliable partner and you can be someone who steps up to the plate, and it's like, we have made a commitment to this, and that fiduciary thing is such a huge part of that. And a good producer is going to understand how to balance that line of like, okay, maybe it's like a couple days shooting for this, but like we can't spend the money on this stunt. Let's rework the stunt in the script to make this happen. And you find a way to still hit that creative vision while also hitting that dollar point. And that's vital.
Do you think that filmmakers that are used to working with basically nothing are easier to work with on that front?
Oh, that's a good question, because there's a give and take to that.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are certain things where they think they can control all of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually now you can't. And we actually need someone to come in for something when there's a little more money. But I do think there's a resourcefulness that does really, so it's a sliding scale.
Right.
I think up until a certain point, yes, I think I love the frugalness. I love the can do. We love the like scrappy. We're gonna figure this out as quickly as we can. So yeah, but it's a sliding scale.
Also, when you're in that position, if you're a very scrappy filmmaker that's used to doing it yourself, and then you get like a little bit of a bigger budget, I also say like, let us kill the dream. Like, tell us that you really want, a Fisher Dolly run of show, and you really need all these stunts, and we'll help you like scale down to what you actually need, but don't kill all of your dreams. Like, don't make have a bigger vision for it a little bit, and then let us kind of bring you back. It's kind of like a give and take, I guess, a bit, because sometimes they'll just kind of like eliminate everything, and you're like, you don't need to do that yet. We do have some money.
Right.
We do need to spend some money.
So it's like you can
Yeah,
you can
you
go
can
into
do
the piggy
these
bank
things.
and
Yeah.
get some stuff for this thing.
Right.
And,
right.
well, it's fine too is the light that you don't turn on like the opening night here was Night of Living Dead, and something I hadn't noticed before was when the main character goes to put the fire poker into the head of the zombie who's in the house. You don't actually see it go in. Now today, you'd have to cast this head and have to be full of blood so you could get that shot. And it's like, if your movie's good enough, it's okay that you don't see the stabbing of the head, and you could save a handful of bucks by not having to do
Yeah,
it.
it's those creative
producer.
conversations.
Oh, yeah, and a good creative producer will really help you know, like, we're going to spend money on these items, and we're not going to see these things. You know, we're going to have kind of our
big set piece. I call them trailer moments. A lot of times it's like, okay, this is a trailer moment. This is a trailer moment that like may not be in the full public trailer, but could be in the sales trailer that we know like, okay, this is the thing we're going to sell the movie on. And then here we just got to go as fast as we can,
Right.
you know? So that's very common.
So just to kind of wrap things up, because we know we got to make sure we get you guys upstairs here. If somebody does have something, you know, to pitch, script, proof of concept, or have something finished, like, how do they get a hold of you guys to say, hey, I'm the next great thing, you know, and then you guys can say, prove it.
Go to jointhebloodoath.com. And we have a form on there, and it has everything from depending on the level of the project that you're doing at this point. Maybe you already have some cast attached, which you can add on, budget, etc. All that stuff's on there. So,
and be clear, we're looking for the next great thing. So the next great thing, like point them in our direction.
I love
We'd
that.
to make
I
it.
love that just because like you go to some other distributors and they're just like, we don't want you. Go have an agent first, then come here. But like you guys are very much just like, we want to talk to you.
Yeah, we'll listen to everything. And look, just a full disclosure, like we get a ton of submissions.
Oh yeah.
We don't get back to everyone. We do look at them though, and we make an honest attempt at what's there. And we have made projects that have been pitched through this exact process, and we will continue to do it. So it doesn't hurt. It's worth it. But just again, how many bites of the apple do you get? Put the best thing together. Get your package together. I've got this location. I've got this actor. I've got this thing. Like, put that stuff that you think is a selling point for you, and then we'll be excited to take a look at it. But don't give up. Even if we don't get back to you, go make your horror film. Go fulfill your dreams, because it's the best shit in the world. And once you get to actually do that, it's really, really special. And I hope that you guys, people that are passionate about it, continue to do it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Aaron, Brandon, Ashleigh, for being here. If you know people who are maybe film people like yourself, share this podcast episode. And you can do that by going to our website, cinemapsychoshow.com/follow, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform of choice. And of course, if you are on the YouTube, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, hit the like button, and share this episode with someone that you might think might enjoy this sort of content. And we will, of course, see you next time.